Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Christian Recorder Dialogues. We have a brief update this evening, all the way from Paris, France, with Jacqueline DuPont-Walker, who is our Connectional Director of Social Action, and our roving correspondent, Kiritiana Freelon, who are both right now in Paris, France at the 2024 Olympics. But what are they doing over there? Well, I'm going to let them get into that. But as always, we thank you for watching. And we are excited to bring you some exciting updates about people who work for our church, but do something else on the side. So, Ms. Walker, welcome. Ms. Freelon, welcome. And we'll take it away.
Thanks so much for that introduction, John. Yes, I've actually been in Paris for the last 3 weeks. I decided to come here this summer because Paris was hosting the 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. And this is actually my fifth time attending the Olympic Games. I've attended the 2008 Beijing Games, the Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympic Games, the 2012 London Olympic Games, the 2016 Rio 2016 Olympic Games, which I actually worked directly for, and finally the 2024 Games, because none of us could attend the 2020 Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo. And I was excited to hear that, we actually have a church member, a very active church member, who will be helping to organize the 2028 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles. And that, of course, is Jackie DuPont-Walker. I want to thank you so much for chatting with me while it's actually 2 a.m. in Paris, France. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us and talk Olympic Games and Paralympic Games in Los Angeles. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity. It is something that I believe we should pay attention to as a church, especially a church that believes in economic justice and finding the opportunity for people to realize economic empowerment.
Mm-hmm. Now, I got involved with the Olympic Games because in 2016, I was actually, it was even before 2016. In 2007, I was able to get a job for a nonprofit that was bidding to host the 2016 Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Chicago 2016. Of course, as you guys know, we did not get those Olympic Games. But a few years later, Los Angeles was awarded the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was awarded the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games at the same time Paris was awarded the 2024 Olympic Games. So
that is exactly correct.
Yes. You guys have known that you're going to host this for quite a bit of time. And I understand that you have a very special role in the organization, in the preparation. So explain to us, as a longtime native of Los Angeles, what is your participation in this lead up to the 2028 Summer Olympic and Paralympic Games?
Thank you. Let me give you a bit of context. I think as serving as the Director of Social Action for the AME Church, we're always talking to people about how they can be involved, how they can make a difference. In fact, looking at James chapter 2, how we can be the evidence of faith and action. And so for a number of years, I've served on various commissions and boards as a part of public engagement. Sometimes I was at microphone protesting. I will tell you, in 1984 in Los Angeles, city of Los Angeles, where we hosted the Olympics, I was actually a protester, trying to make sure that Peter Uberoff, who was the chair of that Olympic operation, was going to honor the community around I guess with the kickoff, the Coliseum, which was predominantly Black at the time. As a result of all of those years of being faithful and showing up at hearings, at meetings, one of the opportunities that I had is for Mayor Eric Garcetti, who was the mayor at the time we bid for the Olympics, who asked me to serve on LA Metro Board. I asked him, why me? Because I did not apply, and all of us were to apply as commissioners in his administration. He said two things that were very important. One is there's a very strong nexus between community development and transportation. I want you to help me build it out so the communities that are without resources can find it. Secondly, as I campaign, I heard so many times where promises made and promises not kept. And I want you to help me keep the promises that I made. And that really resonated with me because that's accountability, that's credibility, that's what we want from our elected leaders. And so in 2013, I began serving on the LA Metro Board. As you mentioned, in 2017, it was announced that instead of LA receiving the opportunity to host the Olympics in 2024, we would be hosting in 2028, the very first time in the history of the modern Olympics that two opportunities for hosting were announced simultaneously. So yes, we have known. In the interim, we had the pandemic, COVID. And I will tell you, we have said during our time here how happy we are that we did not have the 2024 Olympics so that we could be ready. So yes, we have been aware. The bid committee became the implementation committee. We will have some of the same concerns that we had in 1984 about the importance of the community being respected and included in what's happening. But more than anything else, what we want is to ensure that in 2024, we are poised and learning from Paris. And that's why we're here. We're here full force, representatives of our board, the ad hoc Olympic Committee, as well as key staff persons, so that as soon tomorrow as the flag is lowered and presented for the very first time in history from a female mayor of the host city, the mayor of the city, Paris, to a female mayor of the next host city, Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles. And we will be off and running, getting ready for 2028. As the member of the board representing the city of Los Angeles, I'm also elected as the second vice chair. So for the next year, we will be setting in place the framework for the 2028 Olympics.
Wow, thank you so much for that context. I feel like it's just such an honor to know someone who is actively helping to prepare a city for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. As you know, I'm basically what they call an Olympic geek, Olympic nut. I attend them every summer, and I try to sprinkle in a couple of winter games as well. And actually, I will have to say that, I was quite young when they held the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. I don't quite remember watching them on TV, but for some reason, I do remember the athletes who became famous from those games. I remember like people like Mary Lou Retton and Carl Lewis, and Jackie Joyner Kersee. And so that leads up to my next question. What do you anticipate to be the difference between the 2028 games and the 1984 games? Take us back a little bit to 1984. Give us a little bit of context around that.
Well, 1984, Mayor Tom Bradley appointed Peter Uberoff, who was known to be an entrepreneur who was successful. And he asked him to please ensure that the games would not bankrupt the city of Los Angeles. And Mayor Tom Bradley was a visionary of great renown and respect. Peter Uberoff set in place a system by which business would benefit, and the business would ensure that the city residents did not have to foot the bill for the Olympic. He put in place many vendor models, sponsorship models. In fact, no Olympic has netted the profit that was netted in 1984. In the meantime, however, Peter Uberoff did appear to ignore the desires of the community to be involved. And as the community picketed and protested, and let me tell you, I was one of those protesters in 1984. I remember meeting with Peter Uberoff and believing that he had completely dismissed us. And so the flavor of the day in 1984 was that the organizing committee did not appear to care about the engagement with and the empowerment of the local community. At the same time, the city advised local employers to give their employees a day off. City government gave the week off, or 2 weeks it was. The city government released its employees in anticipation of a large crowd coming and wanted to make sure that people did not experience the congestion that we live with. And what happened in 1984 is it was such a great job of evacuating the city until when the city was evacuated and the people did not come because they anticipated what was then called smog and they anticipated congestion. And so it was the best time in my life of living in Los Angeles. The freeways were clear, the streets were clear, but it was an economic success. In fact, in 1984, the residual profits from the Olympic purchased a historic home that is now the 1984 Foundation. It set in place a funding source for outdoor space and green space in low-income communities that is still issuing grants. And in fact, it again is in history the Olympic that netted the highest profit. The difference in 2028, the one thing that I understand after meeting this week with the Olympic Committee is that the issues we had with the Olympic netting benefits and cross-fertilizing with the local community is not the responsibility of the 2028 organizing committee. The IOC is very clear with them about their need to protect the environment for the athletes and for the people that are there, and protect the safety of the athletes because of some prior incidents. The idea that local vendors, small businesses, minority businesses, disadvantaged businesses can benefit is something that local government must be serious about. So we're leaving with 3 members of our Board of Supervisors and the mayor of the city of Los Angeles and the mayor of the second largest city, which is Long Beach, understanding that we must put in place the kinds of things so that our residents and stakeholders in the communities can benefit economically from the infusion of capital that will come into this area. The other piece is, while there may be some protests, guess what? This Olympic Committee has added the union to their board. And so the issues of ensuring there's living wage and adequate protection for union employees will be handled because they're at the board as a part of decision making. So the difference I see in 1984 and 2028 is there was a roadmap from 1984. We do remember what happened and did not happen and go well. And we're also here in Paris to understand what they said. The mayor of the city of Paris, as well as the president of the country, held several press conferences to indicate that they were wanting to ensure that communities that had not had adequate resources would receive the new resources, the new buildings, the new pools, the new parks that had not been available. While 2028 will not build those, we will certainly ensure that people understand that. We also have learned here from the various displays of cultures, and here in a park where various nations can actually invite people in to learn a little bit more about their culture and their cultural peculiarities. That is something that Los Angeles is uniquely prepared to do with the multicultural environment that we have. So we see an economic engine that can be a part of building generational wealth. And that's just not the dollars, but it's actually encouraging people to have businesses where the next generation begins to weigh in and may weigh in these next 4 years. Think about it. Someone who is actually in 9th grade could be graduating from college by the time the Olympics is held, and they could actually be the face of the business that, in fact, is started in their own family. So we see knowledge of and information about how to help our communities be empowered economically, as well as to be an outstanding host. And that's a huge difference from 1984, when our only model was 1932, and so much had changed.
And that leads me to my next question. I've been in Paris for the last 2 weeks, I've had an amazing Olympic Games that has included, being able to see Simone Biles win a gold medal. I've also, been to the track and field 5 nights. It's been an amazing competition. But one of the things that stands out to me the most about Paris are, well, actually two things. One, the venues. They have really placed some of their competition in some amazing venues. I went to see fencing in the Grand Palais. They even have equestrian in Versailles. But in addition to that, transportation. I mean, transportation within Paris has been absolutely seamless. Now, I have gotten on maybe a couple of trains that are a little bit too crowded for my comfort, but it wasn't dangerous. It was just we were all going to the same place, and that only happened twice. Please let me know what you have been doing the last 2 days and what has been your experience of the Paris Olympic Games since you've been here for, let's say, 3 days.
Yeah. Let me tell you that question is so relevant to the reason we are here. We have the entire ad hoc Olympic Committee of LA Metro Board that is here to witness and see. We have traveled public transportation during the periods that we have been here. What we have seen is this city move 11 million people every day, their regular population, plus those of us who have come from outside. At 1 o'clock this morning, as I was traveling, having left you and coming back to our hotel, the train was packed. The people were there, they feel safe. The trains move every 2 minutes. You don't need a schedule. If you miss this train 2 minutes, another one is coming. They've even embraced AI and technology and robots because there are two major lines that are without operators with the cooperation of their union because no one lost a job. The people who would have been operators on that line are either managing the line or doing something else in the system. This public transportation system totally redefined the definition of transit dependent. Transit dependent in Paris is not someone who has no other choice, so they have to take public transportation. Transportation dependent in Paris means people are choosing to use public transportation, and it's been outstanding. I did notice, however, in the United States, we have ADA requirements for physically challenged person. That is not a requirement here. And so there are steps and stairs without escalators and elevators, and we're not sure how it happens. The other thing that we understand from 1984 as they recap is a large part of the success that was realized was a seamless transportation system. So our buses will be rolling. We'll be bringing in 1,000 buses and their operators from across the country. This is an opportunity for national pride. And so we'll bring in operators and buses from across the country so that we will have during the Olympics that kind of every 5 minutes, whatever that headwind is. We are geographically spread more than the city of Paris, although they did have two venues over 2 hours away. We may have a venue that's more than 1,600 miles away. We were talking tonight about the fact that everyone agrees the best baseball stadium in the world is in Oklahoma City. And so why do we bring an Olympic to Los Angeles and jerry-rig Dodger Stadium or another stadium when Oklahoma City is prepared with one? So I share that a little bit of a tidbit because our local body is, in fact, looking at whether or not that event should be held in Oklahoma City. Even here with Paris, they had one event in Tahiti. I think it was the rowboying, maybe canoeing.
Surfing.
Okay, surfing. Okay, so it's important to know that they try to provide the very best venue for the athletes, and we'll be doing the same thing. But transportation is key. As we look at videos that talk about success of 1984, they talk about the outstanding transportation system. And let me tell you, for Los Angeles, believe it or not, we had the most advanced technological transportation system in the country. But the people who purchased it during World War II had an interest in, guess what? Rubber and oil. What did that lead to? the car.
Cars.
And so we see ourselves as returning to that outstanding system. We have right now the largest and strongest construction for rail in the country. And why is that happening? Because the people of the city of Los Angeles, well, I guess in the process of learning about the invitation, have agreed to tax ourselves through Measure M. And we have a sales tax that whenever we bid for federal dollars or state dollars, we can say the city has already committed to tax itself and projected these revenues to add to the money that we're offering you. So yes, we were planning to finish our rail system. Right now, we have gotten to the point where we have 4 lines that are seamless. So you can actually sit in one seat on all 4 lines and never move and go from one end of the county to the other. That's phenomenal for our system, which is only 50 years old. And the city of Paris's public rail system is 150 years old. It is a model for us, and we are riding every line that we can to watch and see how they have done it because it will help us do better. So, our plans for transportation are that when you come, you won't have to look for rental cars and go 100 miles out to have cars driven in, that you'll feel comfortable with our public transportation system. And only those cars that are absolutely needed will be moving around Los Angeles because we too will have a system that is efficient, that is safe, that is comfortable, and affordable.
Cool. So, what is your message for members of the AME Church who would like to get involved, or maybe perhaps would like to attend the Los Angeles Olympic Games in 2028?
Well, let me start with the attending because I have not been able to attend one because of the price of tickets. And I'm here to work, but we would hope there'd be the opportunity. I'm very grateful that we will have the opportunity tomorrow to go to the closing ceremony where our mayor will receive the flag. And that was a major one. But some of my colleagues here have been able to go, but the tickets are very expensive. We're hoping to have a system whereby even if it's like 1984, where there was a lottery of people who lived in the area, there may be a lottery based upon need and ability. We know that right now Disneyland is even unaffordable. So you can imagine what has happened with this. I see, though, the other opportunity that we plan to put in place, working with the Olympic Committee, where the opportunities to be vendors, to provide services, and to provide goods can be made available equitably. So if someone has actually been doing something well, a cleaning service, for example, for several years, and all of a sudden now there's an opportunity for them to be a cleaning service for a venue or for a training center for one of the countries, or even for the village where the athletes will live, that those opportunities will be made available to them. So I would say for the AME Church, who has been talking for some time, I'll say for returning to the philosophy of Richard Allen, where we have theologically compatible opportunities to do something well and to earn funds, that this is an opportunity. For example, remember the yellow fever epidemic, where people were ill and dying, and they had no way to, with dignity, pick up their bodies or to get them to nursing facilities. And so two of our founders, Richard Allen, Absalom Jones, and others, had a contract with the city of Philadelphia. And they not only went in to do what was the detailed work of their contract, but they found ways to even be compassionate with folk who were ill and sick and just needed resources. And that was our Free African Society. We have the opportunity to have the 2028 version of the Free African Society. What services can we provide? And it can be done even with the small businesses that some of us own, or social enterprises that the church may be able to put in place through a nonprofit organization. It is the correct time for us to look at the legislation coming through the General Conference, which codifies the work of the Economic Development Commission. It provides objectives, it provides its mission, and it provides its ability to carry it out. How wonderful would it be that in the Los Angeles area specifically, but even for those that would actually be mobile, as some are, whenever there is an event of this scale in the United States where people will travel from other places to be of assistance, there may be a possibility for us to do something. And I look forward to us being intentional and prayerful about getting this done. Let me give an example. I mentioned the buses. Here in Paris tonight, on our way to viewing the last major event, which was the men's basketball game, we're walking down the sidewalk, my colleagues and I, and we see people who have LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, on their badge. And they're standing at the corner in a neighborhood. And we're looking like, what is this? Well, it turns out that they're reserve police officers, and they go around the country at times like this to try to ensure that people are safe and well cared for. So they're here at the invitation of the French government. We will be doing that. So what other ways can Los Angeles and the state of California invite people in? So wherever we're doing significant ministry, maybe it's childcare to make sure that many of the athletes who are parents know that their kids are safe. And we talked today to a young woman who is a former sprinter and in 4 Olympics. And in 3 of those, she brought her baby. And so we have so many opportunities to do that. The others are providing goods and services where we can provide not only jobs, but careers. So the opportunity for us to take a look at the Olympics when the small business meetings and to know what needs to happen is extremely important. Now, in our worship context, we should also make sure that we're making available information for people to worship and take advantage of the services that we have. We were introduced here to something that really is heartwarming, and that is a group of people who are refugees from their country. And they now have a refugee team with volunteer courses. So there were at least 3 persons of African descent that I met on that refugee team, and one actually won a medal. That was the one for boxing. So we have people from around the world who are refugees who will be able to come to 2028 Olympics. They'll be able to compete as a part of the refugee team, because just because they've had to leave their birth country does not mean that they can not follow through with using their gifts and talents in a special way. So that's a long way to say we are leaving here. I am personally leaving here committed to prayerfully understand how this is a part of God's plan for my people. This is the way for my people to be the sauce, if you will, for the world, and especially through Los Angeles in this particular venture. It can be the source of strength and the evidence of faithfulness in how we carry this out. And so, yes, for the local churches that are there, and we will be getting a new bishop because our bishop is retiring. With the new bishop coming in, it is my prayer and thought, and I will certainly be nudging that we will catch the vision of how we can be involved in an impactful way, because we need, as the AME Church, to be a brand that people can depend on, a brand of faithfulness and worship, a brand of faithfulness and service to the people of the larger community, and a brand of witness, so that we show how we can be that beacon light for the world. How do we say it? 41 countries on 5 continents. And when the light is shined on the United States, we must be faithful.
Wow. Thank you so much for this elaborate overview of how LA 2028 will prepare for the games, particularly as it pertains to transportation. And I want to thank you so much for joining
And
us.
may I tell you one more thing?
Yes.
I really want to say this. We are at a position where the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of LA Metro, is a young African-American woman who we recruited to the AME Church, starting by inviting her to do workshops at the Lay Institute for the Southern California Conference. And she came a number of years, brought other Black females in transportation, talking about how important transportation is, a career, talking about the services that are provided, which deal with anything from if you see something, say something, to building affordable housing along our routes. And so I want to lift up Stephanie Wiggins, who one day walked down the aisle and joined the church that I'm a member of, Ward-Amy Church. So we have in this leadership someone who knows the history of who we are and is in a unique position to carry it out. And if we are there and available, who knows what model we want to set for future adventures. So Stephanie Wiggins is the CEO of Los Angeles Metro.
Thank you so much. Great. Well, I think that's it for our small session. It's not a small, very important session about the upcoming 2028 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Thank you so much, Jackie DuPont-Walker.
And let me thank you, and I will just say to you, as you were with us for a moment today to meet some of my colleagues on the board, the county supervisors, the mayor, the mayor's chief staff, Stephanie Wiggins, CEO, and her chief staff, that when you left, they said, "Who was she?" They felt your light, they felt your spirit, and they're hoping you're coming in 2028.
Of course, I will definitely be there.
and we thank you all both. We know it's late in Paris, so we thank you all. And I know Kirtiana still has some energy, and I know Jackie DuPont-Walker is looking forward to tomorrow. But thank you for taking time. And for those of you watching, we just want you to see that TCR is not just about the stories within our church. It's about what our church is doing, and the fact that we have two daughters of Allen who are out shedding and showing what it means to be us. And again, the fact that Kirtiana, people could see who and what you are by just being you. And I have no doubt that you will parlay this into a very high profile way in 2028. Ms. DuPont-Walker, thank you as always for being
with us. Thank you, Dr. Thomas.
Few weeks. We have a commercial, and after that, we're going to close. So y'all can go to bed. We're going to run this commercial from our sponsor. And again, thank you everyone for watching the Christian Recorder Dialogues.
And we look forward to giving you an update.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I'm presiding elder Harold Mayberry, and since 2004, I've had the privilege of being elected and re-elected as the chairperson of the Episcopal Committee of our church. You know that the Episcopal Committee is charged with a tremendous responsibility. The responsibility of examining the ministry and service of our bishops, and then recommending to our church the assignment of bishops for the next quadrennial. I have enjoyed working with all of the districts of the church. I've worked with districts to ensure that we've connected a bishop with a district where he or she could best serve to allow the people of God to grow and develop. As chairperson, I've worked with the young people. Young people serve on the Episcopal Committee and often are intimidated by being in that kind of environment. So I brought together all of the young adults on the Episcopal Committee for lunch to share with them what the work of the Episcopal Committee really looks like, and to help them feel comfortable with asking questions and offering ideas and suggestions that move the committee forward in a very positive way. I've worked with women as well as men to make sure we've been inclusive in leadership and in the work of the committee in general. I solicit your continued prayers and support for my 6th term as chairperson of the Episcopal Committee. I will continue to listen to each district through your district representatives on the committee. I will continue to ensure that your voice is heard and that we work to make sure you receive the bishop that is best prepared to serve your district in a manner that not only blesses your district, but blesses African Methodism as a whole. I need your support. I need your vote. And I promise you, I won't let you down.